Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into an incredibly passionate, historic address. We're looking at a speech delivered back in the spring of 1990 by Ryuho Okawa to a massive, packed crowd at the Makuhari Messe in Japan. We're going to unpack the rhetoric, the core philosophy, and really the intense emotional burden of what's described as a sudden spiritual awakening. It's an absolutely fascinating look at how you communicate ancient, invisible beliefs to a highly skeptical, hyper-modern world. The speech kicks off with a really striking metaphor, waiting for the light to be held high in the cold of a shallow spring. It immediately sets this atmospheric, heavy tone of anticipation. It's not just talking about the weather here, it's a psychological framing. The speaker is establishing a shared feeling with the audience, basically saying, hey, there's a burning new spiritual reality just on the horizon, ready to thaw the chill of our everyday lives. So this brings us to a pretty massive paradox. Think about it. What does it actually mean to be a voice calling in the wilderness in the middle of modern-day Tokyo? Tokyo in 1990 was literally the peak of the economic boom, the absolute pinnacle of modern comfort. Yet, the speaker positions himself as this classic lone prophet shouting in a barren desert. That stark contrast? That's the foundational tension of the entire speech right there. Part 1. The Call on the Wilderness. To really grasp the philosophical arguments here, we first need to look at the personal journey he outlines, specifically, the crushing, unasked-for responsibility of a spiritual awakening. The text pinpoints a highly specific moment, March 23, 1981, right around 2 p.m. This is claimed to be the exact moment a massive spiritual revelation hit. But what's really interesting is that he didn't just immediately go public. The text highlights a grueling 9-year incubation period between that sudden revelation and this 1990 speech. He describes 6 solid years of total silence, grappling with this incredibly isolating burden, literally asking the divine, why me? Out of billions of people, why me? It's framed less as a gift and much more as a period of profound internal suffering. To explain that burden, he paints a really vivid contrast. To your average citizen, 1990s Tokyo is this thriving, neon-lit metropolis, meant to be enjoyed. But to him, seen through the lens of this revelation, it's a completely barren spiritual desert. He argues that he's been commanded to cultivate this wasteland where not a single blade of grass grows, and he has to water it with his own tears. It's a heavy, powerful rhetorical device that really drives home his feeling of total isolation, even when surrounded by millions of people. Now, he knows exactly who he's talking to. He fully anticipates the heavy skepticism modern people have towards supernatural claims, especially ones spanning hundreds of millions of years of spiritual history. And he's totally upfront about it. He openly admits, look, I can't give you physical proof. I can't split the sky open and show you. Instead, he offers his unwavering, lifelong dedication as his only real evidence. The argument is basically, if I just say this once, you'll think I'm lying. But if I repeat it for 10, 30, 50 years, enduring all the mockery without breaking, that consistency is the ultimate proof of my sincerity. Moving on to part 2, severe tests of true faith. From his own personal burden, the focus pivots to historical precedents, explaining the inherent dangers and the extreme severity required to carry a true spiritual message. And he doesn't sugarcoat this at all. The text builds a compounding narrative by listing the brutal fates of historical prophets. You have Jeremiah, bound with ropes and thrown into a boggy well, Jesus, mocked and crucified, and Mani, skinned alive for trying to unify world religions. It's intense, right? He's brilliantly illustrating that delivering a divine message isn't some glamorous path to glory. Historically, it invites extreme persecution. He's raising the stakes, directly aligning his movement's potential struggles with the greatest religious martyrs in history. Then he drops this incredibly challenging rhetorical question right on the audience. It's so easy for us to read the Bible or historical texts like they're just old stories. But he asks them point blank, if that same cross, that exact same mockery awaited you tomorrow, would your convictions actually survive? It's a striking moment designed to completely shatter any passive listening. Because, as the text strongly argues, true faith is absolutely not a convenience. He aggressively critiques the kind of belief where people only lean on their faith when it's easy or when it gives them comfort and social status. In this philosophy, real faith is fierce. It's uncompromising. It's having the guts to be foolishly honest about the truth, no matter the social or physical cost. Which brings us to part 3. Faith is essentially love. Having established just how terrifyingly severe true belief can be, we get into the core theological equation of this entire address. He anchors this next part with a super famous quote from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians. Even if I have a faith that can move mountains, if I do not have love, I am nothing. He uses this universally recognizable idea to challenge his followers' true motives. You might have the willpower to literally move mountains, but if that power isn't rooted deeply in love, it's just completely empty. And that leads right into this crucial philosophical concept. Faith is love. The logic is actually pretty straightforward here. If the Creator's fundamental essence is love, which is evidenced by continuously giving life, light, and water to the world, then moving closer to that Creator through faith has to transform you. You literally cannot claim to have faith in a loving Creator without turning into an active vessel of that exact same love toward other people. So we see this really sharp distinction drawn between superficial faith and true faith. Superficial faith is totally transactional. It's always asking, hey, what can the divine do for me today? But true faith? True faith actively asks, how can I guide and give to others? The speaker is arguing that if your belief system doesn't result in outward, selfless action and charity, it's really just a mask for your own vanity. This takes us to part 4. Learning is spreading the word. This is where the whole faith equals love philosophy turns into a highly practical, urgent call to action. This speech fiercely, absolutely rejects a super common excuse. You know the one. Well, I need to study the teachings more before I'm ready to guide anyone else. The speaker calls this out as a complete cop-out. He claims that if you have genuinely discovered a profound truth, the pure joy and passion of that discovery make it physically impossible for you to just sit there in silence. It's framed as this infinite cycle of action. Basically, learning is spreading the word, and spreading the word is learning. It visualizes a self-feeding loop. Deep learning ignites this uncontrollable passion to share what you know. But the second you try to teach or guide somebody else, boom, you instantly realize what you don't know. Your gaps are totally exposed. And that feeling of inadequacy, that drives you right back to deeper learning. Education and evangelism are presented as utterly inseparable. Then he zeroes in on the year 1990 itself, declaring it as an urgent, absolutely critical turning point. He demands his followers strip away everything, their superficial titles, their shame, their vanity, their fancy business cards, and get to work. The time for hesitation is completely over. They need to openly and unapologetically spread this message across society. Finally, we reach the ultimate conviction. As this address hits its emotional peak, it shifts from demanding action to leaving the audience with some seriously powerful, enduring imagery about what they are destined to become. Through the active, combined practice of faith and love, the text promises a radical transformation. It says you will become an iron pillar, capable of supporting immense weight without ever buckling, and an impenetrable bronze door able to withstand and push back against any hardship, any criticism, or any worldly misunderstanding. It's a literal call to become spiritually unbreakable. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want you to really consider the incredibly structured philosophy we've just unpacked. Whether you're looking at this from a sociological, rhetorical, or philosophical lens, it asks a pretty universal question. Ask yourself, what core beliefs do you hold? What are your own iron pillars that would remain entirely unshakable, even if you faced the deepest misunderstandings or criticisms? It's something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.